All right, so today we are going to pull back the curtain and look inside the mind of an AI. We're going to explore how it actually thinks, how it gets from point A to point B to get a job done. And the secret sauce here is something called agent architectures.
So have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on under the hood? When you give an AI a really complex job like, hey, go research this topic and then write me a report. I mean, it feels like magic, right? But it's not. It's actually a very structured process, almost like a mental model. So the real question is, what does that model look like?
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the basics. What is an AI agent? Then we'll jump into two really different thinking styles, the React architecture and the plan and execute architecture. We'll put them head to head. And then most importantly, we'll talk about why any of this actually matters.
All right, first things first, let's lay the foundation. What in the world is an AI agent anyway?
Well, the easiest way to think about an AI agent is to picture a program that's acting on your behalf. It can see its environment, stuff like your files or the whole internet, and based on that, it makes decisions and takes actions to hit a specific goal. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like a digital personal assistant, just supercharged and ready to go through your to-do list.
Okay, so if the agent is the assistant, the agent architecture, well, that's its brain, its operating system. It's the fundamental framework that dictates how it thinks. And this is the crucial part, because this is what separates an agent that can kind of wing it and improvise from one that needs a perfectly detailed map before it even dares to take one step.
And that actually brings us perfectly to our first big example, the React architecture. To get this, just imagine an improvisational detective on the case. Think about it. A detective shows up to a crime scene. They have no idea what happened. They find one clue, say a footprint. They think, what does this mean? Then they act on it, maybe by searching a database for that shoe type. The result of that search gives them a new piece of information, and that dictates their next move. That's exactly how React operates. It's this constant, dynamic, responsive cycle.
So the whole process is a really simple loop. First, there's a thought. What's the next logical thing I should do? Then there's the act, actually doing it, like running a web search. After that, it has to observe the result. What did I find? And based on that new info, it loops right back to a new thought. It's this continuous cycle of reason and action, which, hey, is exactly where the name React comes from. Reason plus action. Simple as that.
Okay, so now let's flip the script completely. On the total opposite end of the spectrum, you've got a totally different thinking style, the plan and execute architecture. So if React is our improvising detective, plan and execute, well, that's our methodical chef. Just picture a chef making some super complicated French dish. They're not just throwing things in the pan. No way. First, they read the entire recipe, from beginning to end. They lay out every single ingredient, perfectly measured. They map out every single step, and only then do they even turn on the stove. They follow that plan to the letter, no deviations. That right there is the core idea of plan and execute.
So you can see the process is way more linear, right? It's just two big steps. Step 1 is the plan phase. The agent looks at the whole task and creates this super detailed step-by-step blueprint for everything. Then, and only then, does it switch over to step 2, execute. And in this phase, it just works through the plan, one step at a time, in sequence, without changing a thing. All the thinking is done up front.
So there you have it, the improvising detective versus the methodical chef. Two completely different ways for an AI to think. Let's put them head to head now and see how they really compare.
And this, of course, leads to the big question, which one's better, right? Which thinking style wins? The one that can adapt to anything, or the one that sticks rigidly to a master plan? Well, as you've probably already guessed, it's not quite that simple. Okay, let's really break this down. Look at the process. React is cyclical. It's a loop. Think, act, observe. Think, act, observe. Plan and execute is totally linear. Plan once, then do. And that one difference changes everything. It makes React incredibly flexible, right? It can change its mind based on new info. But plan and execute is rigid. Once that plan is locked in, it's following it no matter what. So it's pretty clear they're built for completely different types of jobs. So here's the bottom line.
the real trade-off. React gives you that awesome adaptability and flexibility. It's great for unpredictable situations. Plan and Execute, on the other hand, gives you stability and predictability. It's perfect for tasks that are already well-defined.
Okay, so this is all really interesting. Kinda academic, right? The detective, the chef. But why does this actually matter? How does this stuff jump from being a concept on a whiteboard to affecting you in the real world when you're using these tools?
Well, it matters a ton, actually. Because the agent's mind, its architecture, directly determines how well it's going to do its job. It's the whole right tool for the right job thing. If you send our methodical chef to solve a murder, it's going to fall flat on its face. And if you ask our improvising detective to perfectly bake a cake following a recipe, good luck with that. The performance of the AI tools we all use hinges on developers picking the right thinking style for the task at hand.
And you can see this in really practical ways. If you need to research a fast-moving, breaking news story, or you're trying to troubleshoot some bizarre, complex bug, you absolutely want the React Detective. But if you're doing something super structured, like generating a quarterly financial report or writing code based on really detailed specs, then you want the stable, predictable chef. That's where Plan and Execute is the obvious winner.
And that brings us to a really important point. We've just focused on these two, but the story absolutely does not end here. This whole field is just exploding. People are creating new hybrid models, mixing and matching these ideas all the time. Think of React and Plan and Execute as the foundational building blocks. They're the two core thinking styles that you really have to get your head around to understand where this is all going.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. As these AIs get more and more powerful, more and more autonomous, which kind of mind would you trust more? The flexible improviser that can react to anything, even things we can't predict? Or the methodical planner that sticks to a clear, predictable, human-approved path? The answer we choose, well, that might just define our entire future with artificial intelligence.